Viridian, the Green Guide. Written by Clouds. Read by Distracted by Books. Chapter 93. Hospital. 5 sighed heavily. Kid, I thought you said you didn't come here often. I. Danke leaned over as he started coughing again. This is a mental space. Why am I. Your brain still knows you drowned. 7 came up and started patting his back. And seriously, 5? The kid almost died. Can't you cut him a little slack? 5 rolled his eyes. Come on, it's just a little water. It was in his lungs. It was not just a little water, 7 said indignantly. I'm alive, right? Like, we'd definitely know if I was dead, Danke asked hesitantly, because you guys are kind of like ghosts already, so if I died, would I just stay here? Or would this disappear since this is my brain? The vestiges looked at each other for a long moment before 2 shrugged. No idea. We always get passed on before the holder's death, so we really don't know what happens. But we're fairly certain that you are currently alive. Danke took a deep breath. Okay, cool. Well, that was kind of intense. 5 snorted. What? You weren't expecting to be attacked by villains during class? You did well despite that. 8, All Might, smiled proudly. You're mastering One for All very quickly. Yeah, you are. 4 gave him a pat on the back. We were impressed when you figured out repulsion. You really sent that kid flying. Danke winced. I really hope he's all right. I'm going to need to practice a lot more. I should hang out with Izuku later. I mean, I told him about the magnetism, but with school and everything, we haven't had time to experiment. I'm sure he'll have all sorts of ideas that'll help me control it better, though. When no one said anything, he looked up to see the vestiges having a silent conversation through heavy looks. Guys, it's kind of my head. It's not really polite to keep me out of the loop. They exchanged another heavy look before one frowned slightly. How much are you planning on telling him about the attack? Danke thought for a moment. Well, I was planning on telling him about the repulsion, but I'm sure there's probably some things that the police will want me to keep to myself. Not that, well, I mean, he's not even supposed to know about One for All. And you know how well that's working out. He was one of the reasons you were so hesitant to accept it, wasn't he? 6 asked. He's the one who told you about the risks of accepting. Danke chuckled awkwardly. Yeah, he's like super smart, especially about quirks and stuff. So I tried bringing it up as like a funny hypothetical, but he panicked and thought I was being targeted by villains. It was kind of hilarious once it all got cleared up. Yeah, well, the kid's got guts. 5 grinned. It takes some balls to take on 5. 2 growled harshly. Not our place. Let the kid figure it out himself. 5 held up his hands in surrender. Hey, I'm just saying it's pretty cool, all right? Guys? Danke waved. Again, no inside jokes in my head. Sorry. 7 smiled kindly. But Izuku's a good kid. I think you should trust him. I do, Danke said. Why wouldn't I? Because he's terrifying. 8 shivered. But he cares for you. And he knows what he's doing. 1 added. You've learned things from him about One for All that we would never have considered, even those of us who've been here since the beginning. So, basically, 4 shrugged, just be sure to tell him everything. Danke tilted his head. Why do you guys like him so much? I mean, I'm glad you do. It's not a bad thing. I guess I'm just kind of curious. Let's just say that he's more than meets the eye, 6 said cryptically. So when he comes to see you, don't leave anything out. Izuku was one of his first visitors when he woke up, and Danke immediately put on a fake pout. We could have had the whole cinematic dramatically blinks his eyes open and sees the best friend asleep in the uncomfortable plastic hospital chair. But no, you had to be boring and wait for the doctors. Izuku rolled his eyes. And your parents? Or did you forget about them? Meh. Having your mom crochet at the foot of the bed isn't as dramatic. Denki shrugged. How are you? Izuku frowned. That's what I should be asking. I heard about the attack on the news, but when your mom said you were in the hospital, it wasn't that bad. Denki said, I just overused my quirk again. It's not a big deal. Izuku pinned him with a look. If it was just quirk overuse, you'd be in Recovery Girl's office, not the hospital. Try again. Denki rubbed the back of his neck awkwardly. Okay, so I might have been 10 feet underwater when I overdid. Izuku panicked. What? It's not a big deal, Denki said. I mean, okay, it's kind of a big deal. But the hero saved me. And before you say anything, I wasn't trying to go swimming or anything. But the villains had this guy with a warp quirk, and he was going to kill All Might. So I couldn't just do nothing. But then he wanted me out of the way, so he warped you someplace that you wouldn't be a problem. Izuku finished. How do you even get yourself into these situations? There's not that many warp quirks, and I don't even know of a villain capable of warping, but obviously I just haven't heard of them. Oh yeah, Denki said, and the shadow people in my head, you know, the ones that came with my quirk, they really like you. Izuku blushed. They do? Denki nodded. Mm-hmm. They said you cared about me and that I could trust you, so I should just keep being really honest with you. To tell you the truth, I'm just relieved they're not mad at me for spilling the beans about One for All or anything, but having them approve of you is a nice bonus. Well, I guess if they were with All Might all the way until the quirk transfer, then they... Izuku's blush was starting to fade as he trailed off, which Denki thought was a shame, but after a few seconds, he turned to look Denki in the eyes. Start at the beginning. Before the villains showed up. Tell me everything. It's really nice of you to visit, Inko, the old hag said. Is Izuku coming later or not this time? He's actually already here. Auntie Inko gave a sad smile, but he's visiting one of Katsuki's classmates, who he met a few months ago. He might drop by later if there's time, but I think he has something this afternoon, so I don't know if he'll be able to make it. It was sweet of her to lie like that, so Izuku didn't have to see him without acknowledging all the reasons he wouldn't want to. Katsuki wished he hadn't ruined their friendship, but he'd have to talk to the nerd eventually. Even if he didn't visit, Izuku would need to know about the Nomu and everything. And he needed to know that he couldn't take on this case alone. Even All Might and the rest of the heroes hadn't been able to take down the leaders, and they had tons of power, if their ability to recruit grunts was any indication. There was a knock on the door before it was hesitantly pushed open, and Izuku peeked his head in. Mom? Auntie? Kachan? I've got the right room, right? Of course! His old hag immediately pulled Izuku bodily into a hug. How you been, brat? I haven't seen you in a while. You filled out. Izuku chuckled awkwardly and shrugged as he pulled away. Yeah, I took up running and stuff. How are you? I'd be better if this idiot would stop giving me heart attacks. She cuffed Katsuki over the head. Seriously, I might as well move in from how often he ends up in the hospital. Hey! Katsuki fixed his hair and glared at her. You're acting like I tried to get villains to hurt me or something. Something about that made Izuku freeze for a split second, and Katsuki felt his stomach sink as some gears turned in his brain. They didn't have time to click into place, though, before Izuku started talking again. It has been a while since I've had a chance to catch up with Kachan, though. He said, I mean, now that we go to different schools, we don't run into each other anymore. Oh, that's an understatement. His old hag grinned and grabbed Auntie Inko by the hand. Come on, Inko. Let's go get some dinner and let the boys catch up. Auntie looked at Izuku, and Katsuki felt like crap when he realized she was scared. Izuku, however, smiled encouragingly. Will you pick me up a soda? I'll come meet you if Kachan gets tired or something. Katsuki nodded. Yeah, I mean, you can bring me something caffeinated just in case he bores me to sleep or something. Auntie hesitated for another long moment before nodding and following Kotsky's old hag out. Just text me if you need anything, baby, all right? Izuku nodded. I will. Izuku watched her leave and waited until the door was completely closed before turning back to Kacchan. He looked good for someone who had just broken both his legs, but considering that he went to UA, Izuku supposed that they had Recovery Girl to thank for that. After a long moment, Kacchan spoke up, his voice deadly serious. It was the villain factory. Izuku swallowed. I know. Kacchan nodded. Dunce face already told you? I don't know. Who? Izuku backpedaled. He hadn't told Kacchan about Denki, had he? Kacchan scoffed. Even a blind guy could see you taught Kaminari how to fight, you damn nerd. You've got a unique way of fighting, so if you take away the electricity crap and gave him a slingshot, anyone would think he was you. Plus, Auntie said you were visiting a friend, so yeah. Izuku winced. He hadn't really considered that Denki would pick up on his fighting style. He hadn't even realized he had a fighting style. He was just taking down villains and staying alive. If it was really that obvious, would the villains pick up on it? He thought he was helping him, but he was actually making him a target? How had he messed up so badly without even realizing it? Dun's face can take care of himself. Kacchan knocked him out of his spiral. Don't worry about him. What'd he tell you about the attack? In general, or just about the villain factory? Izuku shook his head when Kacchan gave him a look. Sorry, villain factory, obviously. Just the monster with multiple quirks and the swarm of bees? Bees? Kacchan frowned. Didn't fight those, but then again, I was kind of busy fighting those bastards' failed experiment. The thing was brain dead, Izuku. It was so freaking creepy. I just kept thinking that was how Ogawa could have ended up if things just... I should have been there. Izuku blurted out, I mean, this is my case. I've been fighting berserkers and villain factory experiments for months. I would have been able to... I should have been there. Yeah, you should have. Kacchan agreed bluntly. Izuku felt his stomach sink. It was his fault that Kacchan was here in the hospital. If he had just been better at being a vigilante and had caught the villains like he was supposed to, so many people wouldn't have gotten hurt. Kacchan wouldn't have gotten his legs broken. Denki wouldn't have almost drowned. I'm sorry. You could have helped us. Kacchan scowled and gripped at the sheets. If you were just in the hero course, you would have been there to fight with us. I'm not saying nobody would have gotten hurt, because obviously, but you could have fought with us, Izuku. Why can't you just stop being stubborn and realize that being a hero is better than being a vigilante for the rest of your damn life? Izuku felt tears welling up in the corners of his eyes and pushed them back. You know why I can't do that, Kacchan? No, Kacchan said firmly. No, I really frickin' don't. You're just as capable as anyone with a quirk, and I'm not going to force you. I lost the right to do that because of how much I've hurt you. But please, just get your head out of your ass already and let Eraserhead catch you. I can't do that, Kacchan. Izuku sniffed. If Eraser caught me, do you really think they'd let me into the hero course? Even on the off chance that Eraser was okay with my everything and was willing to push for my acceptance to put someone like me in the hero course, they'd have to get approval from the principal, the school board, probably even the hero commission. Even if I deserved to be a hero, which I don't, there's no way that many people are going to just be fine with a useless little quirkless kid joining the hero course. You're not useless. Kacchan growled softly. I get that you don't want to get caught. I respect that, and I'm not going to sabotage you or anything like I would have back in middle school. But you've already proven yourself, and... They heard voices out in the hallway, and Kacchan froze. Izuku tilted his head. Are our moms back already? I thought they'd be gone a little longer. Kacchan's head snapped toward him. Get in the bathroom. Get in the... Izuku looked at him in confusion. What are you... Look, do you want to get caught? Kacchan hissed. Aizawa's outside. Aizawa? Izuku relaxed slightly. That's your homeroom teacher, right? Why? Kachan was looking at him like he was an idiot. Didn't Dunceface tell you anything? Our homeroom teacher is Eraserhead. End of chapter.